Now, parents in Monmouthshire are being urged to delay giving their children a smartphone until they're at least 14 years old. How would that go down in your home? Many schools all over Wales, we know, have already banned their use during school hours. But now Monmouthshire is hoping to become the first county in the UK to extend this to the home. Teachers are saying that despite existing school bans, problems with mental health and cyberbullying continue, with many children spending up to 8 hours a day and even overnight on their phones. Well, teachers, parents might support this, but how about the children themselves? Our reporter Will Fife visited Year 6 pupils at Osbaston Church in Wales Primary School in Monmouthshire to see how they feel.
1 in 4 children have smartphones now, and 1 in 4 children have been cyberbullied in the school, which is really strange.
I have a smartphone, but I just never use it anymore. I used to go on it to just scroll and stuff, but after a while I got bored. I decided to just stop scrolling and read a book or go outside and play on the trampoline.
Who is that child? And get that child to every school in Wales, choosing to read a book over going on his smartphone. Maybe the tide's turning then. Is it? We can speak now to Hugo Hutchison, who's the head teacher from Monmouth Comprehensive School. And we've got Emma with us, Emma Manchant, who's a mum of 3 children, the eldest of whom is currently finishing in the first year, I think, Emma, isn't it, in Monmouth Comprehensive?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so
he's
end of year 7.
Year 7 this year.
Yeah, end of year 7. Well, shall I start with you then? Morning both, by the way. Hello to both of you. I know it's a busy day ahead and breakfast and all that to come. Emma, for you though, how have you approached all this then as a parent and the world of smartphones with your 3?
Oh, it's not been easy. I'll just start off saying that. It's definitely not been easy. I started thinking about it when Monty, my son, was in probably year 5. And at that point, I kind of naively thought that perhaps, it would be a normal thing to sort of send my child to school without a smartphone. But I kind of quite quickly realised that a lot of people see it as a rite of passage to send, going to secondary, you get a smartphone and you get your parents sort of hand me down, and that's the way it is. That didn't sit comfortably with me, so I started to do quite a lot of research at that point. I heard about a brilliant book called The Anxious Generation by
Jonathan Haidt. Yeah, I've read it.
Book. Yeah, really good. I don't have time to read books. I've got 3 kids, but I audiobooked it, and I found that really empowering because it gave me some real facts, some real information, and helped me to feel confident sort of to push ahead with delaying giving my son a smartphone. And I found it very difficult, but he's thriving. He's doing okay. The transition to secondary has been brilliant, and I'm so proud of him, the way that he has approached it. I actually think if he'd have had a smartphone, he probably would have found it more difficult.
So how do you communicate? I mean, this will be the question, because that's the thing we do now. We expect to have our kids on the other end of a phone at all times, GPS tracking them or whatever. How do you manage that? Does he just turn up when he's meant to?
Yeah, basically, I gave him the choice. This has always been an open dialogue between myself and my son. I've not sort of forced it on him. Well, I kind of have. He probably would say I had forced it on him because he'd much rather have a smartphone. But I tried to explain to him, what we're doing. I gave him the choice in year 6, halfway through year 6, when he became aware that all of his friends were having smartphones. I said, look, you can have an old-fashioned phone, you can have a brick phone. Or you can have nothing, what would you like to do? And he said that he would prefer to not have a brick phone. He would prefer to go to school with nothing, which actually for me was a bit like, oh gosh, yeah, that's quite scary. I wonder what other parents will think about that, because, we live in a world where we track our kids and we want to know where they are all the time.
And nobody wants their kid to be different. I mean, it's the thing, everybody wants to fit in. Let me bring in Hugo here. Hugo Hutchison is listening, head of Monmouth School. You were listening there to Emma. Hugo, what are your plans then? So have you written to parents saying, look, we want your help here? What are you asking of them?
So we have written to, good morning, we have written to parents. We did a talking head as well, a longer form video explaining the position, because I think it's really important to get the nuance of our message right, because we are advocating as a group of schools within the local authority for a smartphone-free childhood for children in Monmouthshire. And it's really important that it comes across that we're working in collaboration with families and we're asking them not to provide a smartphone for their child until they're 14, not telling them. Because this is the area of parental choice. What we're hoping to do is show that our collective voice as educators gives some weight to that decision making. Emma's is a great example of a parent who's really considering this kind of issue independently. But quite often we see that it's almost automatic that a child is given a phone, and it's actually younger than from the transition to primary and secondary. More and more now, 1 in 4 5 to 7-year-olds has got a smartphone, which I think is just astonishing.
At what point do you get then to this being the norm, where having a smartphone is the exception? How far off that are you at your school?
Well, we're right at the start of this process, because although we have slightly tentatively suggested that simple phones might be a better idea in the past, this is the first year where we've been kind of boldly stepping into the space of saying, please do not buy your child a smartphone. So for the year group coming up into our year 7 next year, we really hope that there will be a critical mass of students who don't have a smartphone, and that then builds its own momentum so that it is it becomes generally more accepted and more normal that a child isn't given a smartphone at that age and at that transition point.
And as the mum of a child who's in year 4, I really hope this does become the norm. Diolch yn fawr. Thanks ever so much both for coming on this morning, to Hugo and to Emma there.